Oh, I'm muted. See, that's why we got to drop the ones. Thank you. All right, we're all good now. Shout out to the gang. That's why I have y'all drop the ones in the chat, because you never know. I hate to be doing the whole show. Can y'all imagine if I did a whole show and I was muted? Oh, God. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and get into it. Shout out to everybody who's in here. Welcome, y'all. Welcome back to another YouTube live stream and another episode of the ClassE, well, afternoon show now. I'm your host, ClassE of ClassEbeats.com, patreon.com/ClassEbeats, by the way. The link is in the description as well as in the pinned comment in the chat. Make sure y'all go check out the Patreon. We got a good time over there. It's going to be fun. We're all looking all crispy and clean on the screen, and we've got a great show for y'all today. All right, we've got some legal documents we're going to get into. It's getting wild out here. We got Tony Buzbee, of course. He got thrown under the bus by Miss Curice. I don't know. I always say her name wrong. Anyway, this is going to be a fun one. Y'all are going to love this Tony Buzbee segment. Also, we're going to go ahead and get into Drake's amended complaint, and we're going to talk about what's going on there, because I love saying I told you so. Some people say I hate saying I told you so. I love telling y'all I told you so. And Drake not only clarifies what he meant when he filed the initial complaint, but he doubles down on everything we've been saying here on this channel when it comes to the payola, when it comes to what UMG's intentions were behind pushing Not Like Us, and it sounds like he's got the evidence to back it up. I know it's gonna be great, man. I'm excited to get into it. Shout out to everybody who's in the building. I see y'all in here. Let me read these couple super chats and we're gonna get started. If y'all could as well, before I read the super chats, please make sure you like the video on your way in. Not only is it free, it takes less than a second, and it lets the algorithm know that you guys are enjoying the show, and it shares the video and the channel out with more people. So if y'all could, please take a second and do that. I would appreciate it. We got my guy Les Cleaver in the building, dropping the 5 bomb. He says, thank you, ClassE and Amy, for all the time and efforts. God bless you and our CEB family. Amen. Shout out to Les Cleaver and shout out to Amy. We've got Kara Hampton in here as well, dropping the 5 bomb. She says, good morning, good afternoon now to everyone. Make this a great day on purpose. Kara, I love that. Let's go. That's a great message right there. Shout out to Kara, man. That's a great message, man. I need to thank you, Kara, for that. All right, we're going to go ahead and get into it. Again, I'll be reading super chats as we go throughout the show. Once we get into the Drake amended complaint, we're going to break that down a little bit and go through the introduction and see what updates there are when it comes to UMG. But first, before we get into that, y'all know one of my favorite segments on this show is the Tony Buzbee roast. Now, it is related to Tony Buzbee, but it's not directly related to Tony Buzbee. So what's going on with this situation with Tony Buzbee and the attorney A. Curice? I know I'm pronouncing her name wrong. We're going to call her AC. All right. Tony Buzbee had some issues with the Southern District of New York. He wanted to be admitted. He applied to be admitted, but this was after he had filed multiple lawsuits in the Southern District of New York without being able to practice there. I know, we're shocked. It's Tony Buzbee, right? And one of the people that helped him allegedly file some of those claims in the Southern District of New York is AC here. And AC got in trouble with the judge. The judge said, hey, AC, you should have known what was going on. You should have done your due diligence. And now you're going to be held responsible for all of these claims that Tony Buzbee filed, because the judge is alleging that Tony Buzbee used AC's ECF login to file these claims. AC came back and she actually wrote this letter to the judge in response to the judge saying, you should have known better and there may be sanctions here. And I want to reread this letter from we'll call her AC, because she was calling the judge out on this a little bit. And we're going to hear what the judge's response to this was as well. But first, she says, Dear Judge V, I write in response to your honor's order denying motions to appear pro hoc vice and to withdraw the order. In the order, Your Honor states that Mr. Buzbee improperly filed and litigated this case using the ECF credentials of the local counsel, AC, whose apparent complicity in his improper conduct may be grounds for sanctions. All right, so she might get in trouble for that. Respectfully, is what AC says. That description is simply not true. Oh, she called the judge a liar. Dang. Y'all think the judge is going to be happy about that? Moreover, I cannot, by my silence, allow it to appear true. I am co-counsel with the Buzbee law firm in this and numerous other cases relating to Sean Combs, both in federal and state court. The Buzbee law firm selected me to be co-counsel because I'm a former prosecutor who has extensive experience representing victims of assault. Mr. Buzbee did not file or litigate this case with my ECF credentials, nor would I let him or anyone else do so. I reviewed all documents in this case and filed them under my ECF because I approved them. So basically, she looked at the work, it looked fine, but she didn't realize Tony Buzbee wasn't allowed to practice in the Southern District of New York, which was her biggest fault in all this, right? I've been working alongside the Buzbee law firm to bring justice to our clients affected by Mr. Combs. It is true that Mr. Buzbee signed the complaint and several other documents as my co-counsel at the time. I did not view those as problematic, nor did I view that as the entering of a formal appearance, and we apologize to the court for my misunderstanding regarding the same and will be guided accordingly in future filings. We thank the court for its time and attention in this matter. Well, Judge V was not feeling that at all. And thanks to Megan Cuniff over on X, she got the transcript of the hearing that took place for this. And Judge V was not happy with what AC had to say. All right, so check this out. AC changed her tune a little bit and said, well, let me read what Megan says first. She says the judge overseeing a lawsuit against Diddy held a sanction hearing for the attorney working with Tony Buzbee, AC, or A. Curice. In here, the attorney had a different tone than the somewhat belligerent and contemptuous one the judge said she took in her letter. So AC says, I just want to apologize to the court. You were absolutely right. The affidavit was missing one operable word, other and by any other court. That is my mistake. I apologize, Judge. You are 1000% right. I'm very sorry. I cannot express how sorry I am to this court. You are absolutely right, Your Honor. I was missing a very important word there, and it's not right. And the court says, all right, stop the BS. All right, we ain't doing this. She said, all right, look, I appreciate it. It is not my want to sanction lawyers, but I also tried to give you fair warning. And your letter to me, the one that we just read, was somewhat belligerent and contemptuous. Oh, man. She said, don't be trying to check me as a judge. If I say it happened, it happened. And AC says, I apologize. And then she goes on to say, what happened here with Tony Buzbee. All right. So he then moved to withdraw his admission, even though he had never been admitted. And I issued an order in which I simply reminded you, counsel, of your objections to be careful about what you are filing. The judge said, hey, check yourself before you wreck yourself. And I did call to your attention the displeasure about things being filed that had been signed only by Mr. Buzbee, but that were filed under your ECF credentials. So it was true. And AC said in her letter, it's not true, right? And rather than just taking to heart my calling to your attention potential issue, which may be happening in other cases as well, you chose to double down. Dang. And you filed a letter with the court saying, I reviewed everything and I approve it for accuracy. Well, you didn't in this case. I don't know how you could have reviewed the Pro Hoc Vice application and confirmed its accuracy when right on the top of your affidavit, which is undated, it's simply signed. There was an affidavit from Mr. Buzbee saying that he had been denied admission to the Southern District of New York, which is directly at odds with what he reportedly told you. And we talked about this the first time we read what went on. The dates didn't match up because what happened was AC filed the initial claim, or one of the many claims, right? And said, oh, well, I know that Tony Buzbee hasn't been denied admission. But then shortly after that, she filed Tony Buzbee's, not application, but it was from the disciplinary board. I cannot remember the exact name. Either way, she filed what Tony Buzbee has to file anytime he's applying for admission, which shows that he was denied admission. So the judge is saying you had to know, and you had to know, and you were contradicting yourself here, which is not a great look again. And what did Judge V end up deciding? AC says, I want to reiterate how sorry I am to the court. Oh my goodness. You are absolutely right. Judge V says, look, I appreciate it. As I said, it's something I do like. It's not something I do lightly to have somebody in. And I certainly don't lightly sanction people, but I do take seriously lawyers' duties to be forthcoming and truthful with the court. You've heard it a million times, but the most important thing in the world is your own personal integrity and reputation. And dealing with Tony Buzbee, can you really have that at this point? I don't think so. So after she apologized and said, I'm so sorry, Judge V said, we have Miss Highland here says, Your Honor, I guess I have a question. Judge V says, sure. If Your Honor is either leaning towards sanctions or undecided, and your Judge V says, no, I'm not undecided. I'm not going to sanction. I appreciate her comment to me. That's why I kept saying I don't lightly sanction people. Miss Highland said, we really, really appreciate that. Thank you. That's all. All right. So, hey, AC got off easy on this one. Judge V took it graciously, reprimanded her, and now we're putting her on blast here on the YouTube channel. But let me know what y'all think about this. Did Judge V make the right decision? Should she have been a little bit more harsh on AC for not doing her due diligence? It seems like a lot of these lawyers, they just get to, I hate to say it, do whatever they want to in some cases. Obviously, it seems like it wasn't I don't want to say an intentional misstep, but it wasn't something that was, she knew that she was going to help Tony Buzbee out and fly under the radar without this being noticed by the Southern District of New York. So either way, let me know what y'all think about this in the comments and in the chat. Tony Buzbee, man, you better look out, because I feel like he's the one that's going to be next. And what are y'all saying in the chat, man? Shout out to everybody who's in here. I appreciate y'all. We've got over 200 folks up in here, and half of you have liked the video. If y'all could take a second, like the video, please. It really does help the channel out, and it helps us to continue to grow as well. All right. She said, sis don't want to pay those sanctions. No, she does not. Shout out to my guy, Mr. Brown, up in here dropping the 2 bomb. I appreciate you, Mr. Brown. Hopefully you're recovering well. We're still praying for you, and take your time, man. Take it easy, relax. And we're glad to see you in the chat as always, man. Good afternoon. Oh, good morning where you're at, actually. Derek says the judge talking to her like a disappointed parent. She said, I told you. I tried to warn you, and you doubled down and said, no, I checked it, Judge. I didn't do anything wrong. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. He said he's getting better. All right. Good to hear that, Mr. Brown. She sure was. I bet the judge shut her right on up. I agree. When you sponsor someone pro hoc vice, you are responsible for anything good or bad for that attorney. I mean, it's not that complicated. It's like co-signing on a loan for a house or a car. If you co-sign on this, saying you're saying, hey, I'll be held responsible too if this doesn't get paid. It's the same thing with attorneys, man. I don't even know. Like, I'm just surprised that she argued with the judge in the first place. But either way, let's go ahead and get into this Drake lawsuit. This is going to be fun. So I got to update this. Let me see. I'll give y'all a new title. Let's see. Drake files amended complaint. It's an amended UMG complaint. Now, this is going to be a fun one because I get to do one of my favorite things on this show, and that's say, I told y'all so. Not y'all, but a lot of people who were in the comments of the videos I made about Drake and UMG. And I think the reason that we're seeing so much outrage and so much push against what Drake is doing is one factor I agree with, is that Drake, I mean, it's kind of lame for him filing this lawsuit. I've said that before, right? The second thing is people just can't stand Drake and they think this is about the beef. And we're going to see laid out very clearly in this amended complaint that it's not just about the beef. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get into it. If y'all are familiar with this, let me know what you think. If not, I'll give you an overview so far. So basically, Kendrick Lamar last year, it's been almost a year now, coming up in a couple of months, that Kendrick Lamar and Drake were going back and forth. They started this rap beef. It was very public. They were going back and forth for probably 6 to 8 weeks, dropping music after music, dissing each other. Then Kendrick Lamar came out with what appeared to be the song of 2024, which was Not Like Us. Then that pretty much ended the beef. Drake responded with The Heart Part 6, which was a pretty weak response, and him just defending himself saying, hey, stop calling me a pedophile. And I said the word, a PDF. So Drake responded that way. Kendrick Lamar's star continued to rise. He performed at the Super Bowl. I mean, he broke records with that song over and over and over. And now Drake is alleging that what happened during that time is that UMG used Not Like Us to not only put Drake at a disadvantage in the beef itself, but to defame him, to devalue his brand as an artist, because UMG has a contract extension or a contract renewal coming up with Drake. And Drake thinks the reason that they pushed this song so hard is because they wanted to get a discount on re-signing Drake. They gave Drake nearly $500 million the last time he signed with UMG, and they don't want to spend as much money. If you know anything about the music industry and these record labels, they don't like paying people. So anyway, now we're going to get into the amended complaint here. Drake filed a defamation lawsuit against UMG. He ended up dropping Spotify and iHeartMedia from the lawsuit because they talked behind closed doors. Drake got the information he needed from him and he removed it. A lot of people came out and said, oh, well, see, the payola's gone. There's no payola. And I said, no, y'all are missing it. That is not true. It is definitely still included in this lawsuit, and we're going to get into it and cover it here, because not only does Drake double down, but he uses a lot of the language that I've been using here on the channel when it comes to UMG's intention behind pushing Not Like Us and using Not Like Us as a tool to diminish Drake's brand. So let's go ahead and get into it. We've got the amended complaint here. We've got Aubrey Drake Graham versus UMG Recordings Incorporated. All right. And they've got it all laid out. This is a beautiful amended complaint. It makes it so much easier to read. If y'all want this complaint, I'll leave the link in the description. I'll post it for y'all over on the Patreon too. Here we go. Plaintiff Aubrey Drake Graham, we're going to call him Drake moving forward, through his attorneys, brings this complaint against defendants UMG Recording Incorporated. The introduction: a single lie can destroy a reputation of integrity, and while it takes years to build a reputation, it can be ruined in 5 minutes. And guess who said that? Sir Lucian Grange, the CEO of UMG. He said that last year, right before this beef started, which is insane. In the middle of the night on May 7th, 2024, an armed group of assailants drove up to the Toronto house in which Drake and his family resided. Drake was inside. The car stopped in front of the residence. Someone yelled, "F Drake!" And at least one gunman began to open fire. One bullet went through the security gate and hit Drake's front door. Another bullet struck and wounded a security guard who was also one of Drake's friends. While the car drove away, Drake and the others inside the house summoned help for the security guard and did everything possible to keep him alive. During the nearby 30 minutes it took for the ambulance to arrive, Drake and others labored to keep the man alive by applying pressure to the gunshot wounds with towels. Blood was everywhere. After the security guard arrived at the hospital, surgeons worked quickly to remove the bullet, stop the bleeding, and saved his life. Thank God. Though it took days for his condition to stabilize, thankfully the security guard survived. All right. The very next day, on May 8th, A different intruder used his bare hands to dig a hole under the security fence surrounding Drake's Toronto house. He managed to dig deep enough to squeeze through and enter Drake's property. Fortunately, Drake's home security guards caught him before he was able to cause any physical harm, although the trespasser managed to yell racist slurs and threats against Drake before being escorted off of the property. Throughout, references to UMG shall include any UMG employee, affiliate, agent, or anyone working on UMG's behalf. All right. Yeah, y'all didn't realize this happened? Oh, yeah. And then on May 9th, the next day, the very next day, another break-in attempt happened. In the 2 decades leading up to May of 2024, although Drake was constantly in the public eye, nothing remotely like these events has ever happened to him or his family. But these events were not coincidental. They immediately followed and were approximately caused by UMG's actions leading up to and on May 4th of 2024. Your question may be, what happened? Well, they're going to tell you. UMG is the world's largest music company and also the music company that has represented Drake for more than a decade. Yet, on May 4th, 2024, UMG approved, published, and launched a campaign to create a viral hit out of a rap track that falsely accuses Drake of being a PDF and calls for violent retribution against him. Oh no. Even though UMG enriched itself and its stakeholders by exploiting Drake's music for years. All right, now. Stop the cap. Let's relax on that. UMG chose corporate greed over the safety and well-being of its artists. And knew that the salacious allegations against Drake were false. In controversy, UMG saw an opportunity, seized it, and continued to fan the flames even after learning of the incitement of violence on May 7th and May 8th, along with the unrelenting vitriol towards Drake that has followed. The song in question is Not Like Us, the recording it'll be referenced to moving forward. Written and performed by Kendrick Lamar Duckworth. I try not to laugh at that last name, but man, Kendrick, come on, man. You can't help it, I guess. The recording was intended to convey the specific, unmistakable, and false factual allegation that Drake is a criminal PDF and to suggest vigilante justice as a response. The record is defamatory because its lyrics, its album image, and its music video all advance the false and malicious narrative that Drake is a PDF. The lyrics repeatedly accuse Drake of engaging in criminal acts, including by calling him a certified PDF. Wow. All right. Anyway, and a predator who needs to be placed on neighborhood watch. Dang. The image was designed to enforce and, in fact, reinforces the accusations by depicting Drake's actual Toronto house covered in the icons that are known to be used by law enforcement as well as public safety applications like Citizen to identify child offenders' residences online. The video, created weeks after the song became a viral hit, was designed to reinforce that same false narrative by, for example, showing images associated with trafficking and juxtaposing the game of hopscotch with lyrics accusing Drake of trying to strike a chord and it's probably A minor. Oh man, this lawsuit is not about the artist who created Not Like Us. Again, they said this in the first lawsuit. This is not about Kendrick Lamar. Kendrick Lamar was a pawn by UMG. Used by UMG. And if you can't see this, then y'all need to stay on the artist and music side. If you cannot see how UMG could have, allegedly, used Not Like Us to benefit them from a business standpoint when it comes to renegotiating with Drake, then you probably shouldn't watch this video. All right. You want to talk about Kendrick Lamar and Drake? We ain't talking about that here. All right. It is instead entirely about UMG, the music company that has decided to publish, promote, exploit, and monetize allegations that it understood were not only false, but dangerous, as he's seen with his security guard getting shot and house getting broken into. As UMG knows and has known at all relevant times, Not Like Us, the image and the video's allegations are unequivocally false. Drake is not a PDF, as he said in The Heart Part 6 multiple times. Drake has never engaged in any acts that would require he be placed on neighborhood watch. Drake has never engaged in relations with a minor. Drake has never been charged with or convicted of any criminal acts whatsoever. I think it's interesting that Drake is putting all this in a lawsuit and people are still saying, oh, well, he's guilty of something. You see the evidence out there. What are y'all talking about? Anyway, notwithstanding, it's knowledge that the allegations are fabricated. Starting in May of 2024, UMG waged an unrelenting campaign to spread the recordings, Not Like Us, the image and the video, together with the defamatory material, as widely as possible. UMG did so because it understood that the recordings' inflammatory, and shocking allegations were a gold mine. Spreading the defamatory material served multiple business purposes for UMG. First, the more people who listened to, streamed, and watched and downloaded the defamatory material, the more money UMG and its executives would make. That's true. Second, UMG's Interscope Records, they're going to be referred to as Interscope, owns Kendrick Lamar's entire backlog of recorded music. And Kendrick Lamar saw the highest boost in his music Spotify monthly listeners revenue during this rap beef and why Not Like Us was being promoted. The leadership of Interscope has every incentive to prove it could maximize Kendrick Lamar's sales after only recently persuading him to enter into his own direct license for a limited recording commitment of new music. This is going to be huge. This license that they just signed and then Not Like Us leading to that, it is going to be big when it comes to proving what UMG and Interscope's intentions were. Third, in contrast with Lamar's first deal, our first direct deal, UMG's contract with Drake was nearing fulfillment. This is important. And on information and belief, UMG anticipated that extending Drake's contract would be costly, especially considering that they almost paid him $500 million the last time. By devaluing Drake's music and brand, UMG would gain leverage to force Drake to sign a new deal on the terms more favorable to UMG. Again, this is going to be huge. The timing of this is going to be key. And I have to applaud UMG. If they thought this through, this well, which I could totally see. I mean, this was one of the greatest business moves I've ever seen. Now, if they end up having to pay Drake a couple $100 million because of this lawsuit, did they win? Maybe. But this is brilliant if they thought of this and if it turns out to be true. We'll have to wait and see. UMG's campaign was successful. The recording, Not Like Us, cloaks cleverly dangerous lyrics behind a catchy beat and inviting hook. Why'd they say it like that? Capitalizing on those attributes, UMG used every tool at its disposal to ensure that the world would hear that Drake like some young, as Kendrick Lamar says in the song. Unlike any other song ever released by Kendrick Lamar, this song has been played many billions of times, and its false central message has calcified into accepted fact via social media and legacy media channels broadcast in dozens of languages and to, at a minimum, hundreds of millions of people spanning the globe. It is not just fans of rap music who now believe that Drake is a certified PDF. Because it is not just fans of rap music who have been repeatedly exposed to the song's lyrics. Instead, Not Like Us has become ambiguous, but that's a fun word, in significant part because of UMG's deliberate efforts designed to accomplish just that. UMG used its promotional resources and exclusive licensing rights to place Not Like Us on numerous nationally televised events, including but not limited to award shows, national political events, and more. The Super Bowl, such and such, right? And again, this is going to be an important part here. We're talking about payola with iHeartMedia. We're talking about licensing deals and discounts that they did with Spotify. Said, hey, we'll give you guys a discount if you keep pushing this song. Spotify said, sure, we'll do it. Can't be doing that. We're talking about Not Like Us not being copyrighted on YouTube and other platforms. Y'all know, if you were following the channel back then, I reviewed every single song that came out during that rap beef. We were reviewing Not Like Us. UMG, our Kendrick Lamar's camp, was like, hey, you guys don't have to worry about copyright strikes. You can use this song as much as you want to. Y'all can make money off of it. You can critique it. You can break it down. And we're not going to flag any of it, which hardly ever happens with UMG. But anyway, but billions of plays and ubiquity. Oh my gosh. And ubiquity were not enough for UMG. Long after UMG knew about the harm that Not Like Us had caused to Drake, and with full understanding that countless listeners had interpreted the song's lyrics and imagery to convey assertions of fact, the evidence is out there that that's true, UMG made significant financial investments and leveraged its professional connections via sophisticated and highly organized publicity campaigns to arrange for the recording, Not Like Us, to be performed at one of the most significant and viewed cultural events of the year, the Super Bowl. Oh my. Not Like Us was performed during the 2025 Super Bowl and broadcast to the largest audience for a Super Bowl halftime show ever. Over 133 million people, including millions of children and millions more who had never before heard the song or any of the songs that preceded it. It was the first and hopefully will be the last Super Bowl halftime show orchestrated to assassinate the character of another artist. Oh, my goodness. UMG is legally responsible for the release, publication, and promotion of the defamatory material, including the foreseeable consequence of the same. That's true. UMG's business is to possess the exclusive rights to reproduce, to distribute, and to license music, including over the internet. Moreover, UMG retains the right to refuse to publish works based on content to which it objects, including material that UMG deems to be defamatory. They could have stopped this, is what they're saying. In other words, it is only with UMG's explicit approval that the defamatory material could have been released in the first instance and later streamed, shared, performed publicly, and exploited by content creators on TikTok, Instagram. They didn't even mention YouTube. I'm surprised. UMG's campaign went well beyond the traditional music company playbook. This again is going to be key, and here's where the payola and the discounts on the licensing fees come in. All right. Indeed, UMG has unleashed every weapon in its arsenal, including on information and belief, certain practices that are unlawful. In a memorandum to staff reflecting on highlights of 2021, Sir Lucian Grange remarked that it was harder than ever for artists to break through the noise. As for example, 60,000 songs are added to Spotify every day. Oh my goodness. UMG made sure that Not Like Us broke through the noise. For one, UMG took the unprecedented step, contrary to its internal practices, to remove the recording's copyright restrictions on YouTube and Twitch. I just mentioned that, thereby whitelisting the recording, Not Like Us, to ensure content creators would publish it broadly. And that we did. And I mean, we made some money off that thing too. I'm not gonna lie. Thank you, UMG. On information and belief, UMG and its agents further put a thumb on the scale by covertly offering financial incentives on third parties or to third parties to deceptively stream the recording on streaming platforms. To play the recording on radio, we've got Spotify, we've got iHeartMedia, and to otherwise promote and endorse the defamatory material, all without ever publicly disclosing the payments. Of course, they wouldn't do that because that would make Kendrick look bad, right? These actions not only spread and further ingrained the defamatory statements in the minds of the public, but deceived consumers and harmed Drake economically. Predictably, millions of people who listened to the recording or saw the image and the video believed the defamatory material to be true. UMG had previously published Lamar's song Euphoria, it's a great track, which was also widely understood to be targeted at Drake, and which stated, don't tell no lie about me, and I won't tell no truth about you. A voluminous public commentary confirms the average listen. They've been watching the channel. They have been watching the channel. Hey, shout out to Drake's Camp. I appreciate y'all watching. I used this reference when we were reviewing the initial complaint, and this got updated, and this is the exact reference I used. I said this is going to be interesting if Kendrick Lamar, if they take Euphoria and point this out, because Kendrick Lamar wrote Euphoria and put out Euphoria before Not Like Us. So therefore, one could assume, or one could take that the statements used are the statements made in Not Like Us are true, and that Kendrick Lamar is, quote unquote, telling truths about Drake. Thank y'all for watching, man. Hey, show me some love. Hit me up, y'all. We have a conversation. Anyway, a voluminous public commentary confirms the average listener or viewer had understood the defamatory material to reflect factual assertions about Drake rather than art or hyperbole. Messed up. Moreover, the lyrics Not Like Us leave the unmistakable impression that they are based on additional facts not disclosed to the listener, but that may be revealed at some future point in time. In other words, of one commentator, Not Like Us false lyrics have made it such that everybody believes that Drake loves, I'm not going to say that on YouTube, but being a PDF. UMG's greed yielded real world consequences. As directed above, it was just 3 days later UMG originally published the recording and image that Drake was targeted at his Toronto house by armed intruders in 2024's equivalent of Pizzagate. I don't know what that is. The online response was similarly violent and hateful. An avalanche of online hate speech was, oh, Drake, all right, come on now, has branded Drake as an offender and a pedophile, among other epithets. Public commentary has repeated the false claims that Drake is a PDF, an abuser on the level of Weinstein, Diddy, and Epstein. Oh my gosh, who traffics children in shipping containers and harbors convicted offenders in his Toronto home. In direct response to UMG's publication, social media users called for the Federal Bureau of Investigation to come at this point and for Drake to be locked up and behind bars. The mob-like response to the recording continues to unfold on and offline. At one point in time, flyers were plastered all over Toronto with a photo of Drake and a Canadian YouTuber who was sentenced to 3 years in prison for assault with the words Canadian predators gotta stick together. Oh my God. The public response re-intensified following the 2025 Grammys and Super Bowl, both of which featured the defamatory material. Each of the prestigious and high exposure events introduced new listeners to the recording, causing even more people to be duped in believing that Drake is a PDF. He says, "Say Drake, I hear you like I'm young." Not only did streams of the recording increase significantly following the two mega cultural events, but threats against Drake and his family did as well. With the palpable physical threat to Drake's safety and the bombardment of online harassment, Drake fears for the safety and security of himself, his family, his friends. After the attacks on his house, Drake pulled his son out of elementary school he attended in Toronto due to the safety concerns, and once school ended for the summer, Drake arranged for his son and his mother to leave Toronto entirely. Oh, it's tough out here to be the biggest artist in the world. Day to day, Drake continues to take steps to address persistent threats to his security. Drake, you picked the wrong genre if that's the case. You need to go over they say he's a pop artist. I mean, you talking about Drake said some crazy stuff in the song. So this to me is just wild as a hip hop artist. Either way, the violence and vitriol directed at Drake was foreseeable. I mean, he's a hip hop artist. The recording falsely accuses Drake of one of the most vile behaviors imaginable and explicitly calls for retaliatory violence and retribution against him. The false PDF accusations is devastatingly effective method of assassinating someone's character online. When spread virally, The accusation can destroy an individual's reputation and brand in a matter of days. As one expert on conspiracy theories has explained, there's always been a certain amount of salaciousness in these conspiracy theories. And if it involves children, people immediately just lose their mind. I'm guilty of this. I don't play with crimes against children. So 1000%, even if the children don't exist. If you just put out this suggestion there, it grabs a hold in ways that is difficult to dislodge. That is exactly what the recording accomplished. UMG understands just how dangerous these kinds of false allegations are. Indeed, when it comes to the allegations against UMG and its executives, they have not hesitated to take legal actions against their accusers. Just last year, UMG and Sir Grange were accused in their words without the slightest factual basis of aiding and abetting Sean Diddy Combs in criminal acts. And we reviewed that lawsuit that they were added on. Moving to dismiss the complaint against them, UMG and Sir Grange argued that the accusations were offensively false of criminal behavior. That would be libelous, per se, if not contained within the legal filing. Sir Grange called the allegations against him knowingly and maliciously false and defamatory. Sir Grange also explained that a single lie can destroy a reputation of integrity, and while it takes years to build a reputation, it can be ruined in 5 minutes. True. Thus, recognizing that false allegations against him might interfere with his efforts to lead an honorable personal and professional life, Sir Grange promised to pursue those who made these outrageous allegations against him. In stark contrast, when Drake confronted UMG about his role in promoting allegations of misconduct lacking the slightest of factual basis against him, UMG refused to do anything. They said, "Hey, sorry, man. You gotta play the game. It is what it is." Dang. Instead, UMG continued to republish and promote the defamatory material even after Drake had unequivocally denied the allegations in public and communicated that in private to UMG. So he talked to UMG in private and said, "Can y'all stop this? It's too much. Like, you're taking this too far. This goes beyond the little beef between me and Kendrick. Like, don't relax." And UMG said, "Nope, sorry, bud." Drake informed UMG of the tangible harm that the publication and promotion of the recording has caused him, including violence, threats, reputational and financial damage, and more. Yet UMG still chose money over the safety and well-being of its artists. Notwithstanding its public comment, I got this, y'all. Its public commitment to behaving honorably and with honesty and setting the right tone in all we do, and UMG has tripled and quadrupled down on the defamation for profit strategy, even after Drake filed this lawsuit, which detailed the harm to him and his family caused by UMG's publication and promotional activities. Many months prior to filing this litigation, Drake attempted to address these claims privately with UMG. Oh, so he tried to settle this. Not settle the lawsuit, but say, can we figure something out? Hey, y'all did this the wrong way. Drake believed, per Sir Grange, that UMG's leadership should be held accountable for the actions we make and how we conduct ourselves. And UMG purports to care about threatening and abusive behavior. Indeed, UMG's code of conduct notes harassment can take different forms, such as speech that is threatening or abusive, and declares that violence, threats, and physical intimidation are not tolerated at Universal Music. Huh? Have y'all listened to hip hop? Have y'all listened to trap? What are we talking about? I guess they're saying they have creative liberties with that. So maybe they're saying they're going to go and spin the block, but they don't really mean it. Okay. Because we all share the responsibility to make health and safety a constant priority. I'm so confused. Yet in response to Drake's concerns, UMG responded that Drake would face humiliation if he brought legal action. I believe that. Presuming that the publication would be unable to understand UMG's role in exploiting and profiting from this dispute, UMG's posture as the world's largest music company is that it is untouchable. They might be. UMG's response to Drake was especially perverse, given that it is perfectly willing to sue to protect its own interests when it believes that doing so will protect its property. UMG is engaged in the business of acquiring, administering, licensing, exploiting, and otherwise monetizing the music of artists, including Drake, and does not hesitate to file lawsuits when doing so suits its financial interests. This lawsuit is both necessary and appropriate because UMG has repeatedly defamed Drake while exploiting and monetizing his work. With his own record label having waged a campaign against him and refusing to address this as a business matter, Drake has been left with no choice but to seek legal redress against UMG. UMG has attempted to spin this complaint as a rap beef gone legal, but this lawsuit is not about a war of words between artists. That's what a lot of people are missing, and I agree. This lawsuit involves no claims against Kendrick Lamar, Drake's gonna take the L, or any other artist. Instead, it's about UMG, the publisher and exclusive rights holder of Kendrick Lamar's music, as well as Drake's, and its malicious decision to publish and promote, though both overt and covert means, false allegations about Drake that UMG were false, exploitive, inflammatory, and certain to result in both vitriol and substantial harm to Drake's reputation. Notwithstanding a relationship spanning more than a decade, UMG intentionally sought to turn Drake into a pariah, a target of harassment, or worse. UMG did so not because it believes any of the false claims to be true, but instead because it would profit from damaging Drake's reputation. Drake thus brings this action to hold UMG responsible for the actual and foreseeable harm he has suffered and will continue to suffer because of UMG's choice to elevate profits over the well-being of its artists and music consuming public. Wow. This is a tough one, y'all. What do y'all think about this introduction? They go on through here, and I've reviewed it to talk about a lot of the instances where this took place. And I'm actually going to do an overview, a brief overview for y'all of what are some of the changes and differences between the initial complaint and this one, because there were some things added to it. Specifically, we're going to talk about harassment coming up soon. But let me know what y'all think about this in the comments and in the chat. Does Drake have a case here? Can y'all forget about Kendrick Lamar for a minute? Can we just focus on Drake versus UMG? Because as Drake said multiple times, the ball is in UMG's court. They heard the song, they saw the content, and they said, this might work out pretty well. And they chose to release it. They chose to push it, and they chose to do maybe some of the illegal things that they did. I want to know what y'all's thoughts are. Can we leave Kendrick out of it for now, though, even though he's in the thumbnail? Let me know what you think. Shout out to the gang in here, man. I knew y'all were going to have a lot to say about this one. I can't wait to see these comments. Y'all were going crazy in the chat. Let me get some water real quick. Well, from a business perspective, they made billions and will continue to. So let's say they lose and have to pay 100 million. It's still a financial win for UMG. Not necessarily, because they lose Drake. And that's what we're not talking about. Drake can go sign with Sony. You think if Drake sat down with Sony, is like, hey y'all, I just won this $100 million, $200 million lawsuit, $300 million lawsuit from UMG. Y'all want to sign me for like 400 million? Just give me the same deal that they gave me a little while ago. I know the brand's looking crazy. It's going to take some time to recover, but I'm Drake. I can do it. Drake would win. That would be almost $700 million. So UMG would have to pay out, and then they would have to lose Drake. We're talking about Drake. Drake? Who's going to replace Drake? And I swear, if anybody in this chat says Kendrick Lamar, I am banning you from the chat for the rest of the week. Who is going to replace Drake? That would not be a win for UMG if they just get to write $100 million check and Drake walks. No. And especially if you look at Drake's contracts and see how much control he actually has over his catalog. Again, we're not going to get into that here because I don't think that would just be something everyone would be interested in. That would not be a win at all for UMG. That would be huge loss. And somebody else is just going to come along and sign them. Anyway, UMG doesn't win anything from this. Even if Drake wins, it exposes their whole system and exposes every label. Of course. Let me see. Does this lawsuit make it hard for labels to want to work with Drake moving forward? No. Not at all. Like this was a rap battle, probably the rap battle of our generation, if we're going to be honest. I mean, some people would talk about, I don't know, you had Drake versus Meek Mill. You got Joe Budden went back and forth with Drake. You got Pusha T versus Drake. But this one, Kendrick Lamar versus Drake, this is the one that the people wanted. The culture versus the industry. So yeah, of course, I mean, it's a business move. It's not about Drake. Drake is gonna Drake, and I keep saying this, and y'all saw it even with the Party Next Door album. Drake is not, he's not missing. So yes, they'll want to work with him because he's a money printer at this point. I have to say, I really don't like how the word PDF has been weaponized to ruin reputations. It diminished what PDFs do. Yes. People tuned in to see K Dot.
Stop the cap.
I went to a Super Bowl party and the other people had no clue who he was. Thank you, Con. Thank you so much for saying that. Ain't nobody going there to see Kendrick Lamar. Oh my gosh. They're going there to say A minor. Nobody cares about Kendrick. Dang. Did they do this back in the day when all the rap beef was going on? Good question. I don't know if things were, Spotify hasn't been around that long, so I don't know if things were at that level yet. And we haven't been doing the things we've been doing on YouTube that long either. So this is, maybe they did it in different ways. Was it easily trackable like it is now with the bots and with the payola and with the licensing deals and contracts? I don't know. When Kendrick said, "Say Drake," I started crying and laughing. That smile in the camera had me screaming on TV. I don't know. The Super Bowl performance wasn't bad. It was garbage. I just didn't like how it was targeted and didn't play his best songs. That was, from a performance standpoint, in my opinion, it was trash. It was so boring. And I like Kendrick Lamar. He didn't. Yeah, I'm with you on that one. So since you made a lot of money, you don't need super chats anymore. That was a long time ago, Peter. You better send. Peter, can you drop 100 bomb, please? I absolutely need super chats. What you mean? That was like a year ago. I got sports to pay for. My son is only 5. My son is only 5. Was his first Super Bowl. He was excited. I love Kendrick's music. I like Drake's music too. But he's talking about Not Like Us, not the collection of work. I never saw them posters. That's hilarious. So his own people was doing this to him. Allegedly. Euphoria was a song that let Drake think the beer was over the, I don't know what that's saying. Imagine picking a beef with a native Californian and you have to leave Canada. Drake, stop. You lost and you complaining made it last longer. I don't think so. It's true. A coach in a small town I lived in was accused. Later, the girl said she made it up. People still believe this coach is a PD. It was sad to see him lose his livelihood. Dang. I understand the payola and what he's trying to say, but to think after 2 amended lawsuits, they would be some type of evidence to support that claim accusation. Oh, they're going through discovery right now. And we're not going to see, we're not going to see it. The evidence is how the song performed. That's the evidence that we have right now. Drake should have said good song instead of suing. Drake I don't think Drake is not taking the L on this because he's already said this ain't about Kendrick. Kendrick got me. This is about UMG. Kendrick didn't sue for what harm Drake's songs could have done because he's not built like that. Oh my gosh.
Stop the cap.
In my opinion, that's why I say he's not from the culture. All these rap beasts he's suing. Stop it, Tatum. Tatum, what did Drake say about Kendrick that could have caused him harm? And what did Drake say about Kendrick that did cause him harm? That's what I want to hear from y'all. What did Drake say about Kendrick Lamar that was defamatory? Jay-Z sues people all the time, yet no one talks about it. They should stop acting like he's from the street. Thank you, ClassE. That's what I was wondering. Oh, which part? I'm behind on the comments. Has nothing to do with Kendrick. Yes. This is not about Kendrick. I think Drake took the L because the way they're talking in this lawsuit, they want to make it very clear it's not about Kendrick. He's like, hey, Kendrick, he did his thing on this one. He got me. But I had to go fight another battle. Drake had to put down the microphone and go jump on UMG's neck. Drake signed, you shouldn't use lyrics in court. When Young Thug had his trial, Drake turns around and sues over rap lyrics. Is funny. Well, he's not suing Kendrick over the rap lyrics. He's suing UMG over how they used the rap lyrics. This is shout out to Peter Ortiz. He's been a member for 6 months. Oh my gosh. Shout out to my guy, Peter. Thank you, man. He said, so you don't need super chat, boy? What you mean? Y'all better keep those super chats coming. Don't listen to Peter. No, they just took, let me see. Thank you. People don't care about this beef. They care about good music. Drake's running around with a top 5 and now he fears for his life. Come on, man. Judge Boyd should be the judge over this case. Interesting enough, this is filed in Texas and it is filed in Bexar County, Texas. Did y'all know that? I wonder if it says on this lawsuit somewhere. This is all taking place and being filed in Texas, which is wild that we were just covering a case in Texas. But either way, that would be interesting. Tay says it will be interesting to see how it plays out. I think Drake has an excellent case here. I'm not going to lie. I think if this goes all the way, Drake is going to win this thing. Y'all can hold me to it. If UMG decides to let this go all the way, I think that Drake is going to 1000% win this thing. Because you can see it. You can see everything lining up. And again, me being in the music industry, I know how this goes. I know how things work behind the scenes. A lot of what Drake is saying, I have personally seen, and I personally know how these things work. It's crazy. I interviewed someone who did very well in the music industry, Chad Focus. If y'all haven't checked that interview out, make sure you go check it out over on the members only side. And that interview with Chad Focus, he talks about how music industry uses bots to promote their artists, how they use certain systems to promote their artists. It was Chad, he dropped so much game in showing us what all goes on. It's pretty easy to see. Hey, shout out to Peter, man, with the 25 ball. Shout out to him. Peter Ortiz said, did you say Kendrick Lamar is better? I did not say that. Kendrick Lamar has one of the greatest pens I've ever seen in my life, though. Excellent writer. Absolutely amazing. Thank you for the 25 bomb too, Peter. I appreciate you being here. Tatum says, people get killed for saying less. I'm from the hood. We will never agree on this. Is Jay-Z not from the culture? He's suing with a bunch of people right now. Yeah. Yeah, it's different. Jay-Z is a billionaire. Stop comparing apples to oranges yet. You got to look at when it comes to culture and business, you really have to separate the two. And that's why I always thought that's one of the reasons I wanted to tune into this beef at the beginning, just because to see the dynamics between the cult, even from the first time I saw this happening, I told y'all, this is going to be the industry versus the culture. And there's no winning this. There really isn't. Drake's always going to be the industry guy. He loses the beef, he's still going to go on to Drake. We've seen that happening here. Kendrick Lamar, he wins this, he's still not going to drop an album for another 5 years because he's the culture guy. And he's not the big industry, I make hits type of guy. Obviously, he's proven in the past, and he proved with Not Like Us that he can do that. But this was just something that was entertaining for us who can see it for what it is, for people who enjoy the music. But Kendrick was always going to be the culture guy. Drake was never going to be seen as a culture guy ever, period. End of story. Floyd says, I want to hear how y'all would respond if someone out of something out about you that you felt was false, and someone put something out about you that was false or defamatory, and then it was blasted by every media outlet in the world, literally pushed in folks' faces. Yeah. Did you see UMG's response to this, by the way? They sent a response already. This was just filed today. No, I didn't see it. We might have to cover it tomorrow. He never fronted on who he was. Exactly. Let me see. Where is it? I missed the comment. I'm missing something else comment. Exactly. And you don't think Drake is worth $1 billion? UMG is stuck. Receipts from the streets. Is this a federal case? If not, hope it's streamed. Defamation trials are fired. This is not a federal case. Kendrick said it's bigger than the industry. See, you're moving the goalpost. You just said you like Kendrick and Drake's music. Oh, you're talking to somebody else. Okay. You can't make me like this man as a person. His music is nice. He's not from the streets. Yeah, that's fine. Let me see. This happens every day. Well, I know. Shout out to Peter. Peter's in here showing love, man. Yeah, keep those super chats coming. If you got a membership from our guy Peter Ortiz, please make sure you say thank you. Thanks for being here, Peter. Thanks for the support and the great comments and insight in the chat as well, man. Y'all show Peter Ortiz some love and say thank you. For I call y'all out, y'all better say thank you. Let it play out. We will know a lot more. Liking a song and him are two different things. Yeah, you don't gotta like Drake. His music, I think, it can't be questioned. Like if I started singing probably 10 Drake songs right now, y'all could finish most of the lines. If I started 10 Kendrick Lamar songs, then it would be different. Again, industry guy, culture guy. It's just different. Now, sometimes you have a combination of both, right? You have someone who's a big industry person and a big culture person. But in my opinion, we haven't seen that in a long, long time. A long time. Kendrick search for the culture but disappears every 3 years. That's what it is. That's how it is, man. You just doing it for the art, not doing it for the numbers or for the fame. If the fame comes with it, fine. But that's what the culture is. You do it for the art, do it to tell a story. ClassE, can you tell us who the big ear guy on the thumbnail is, please? That's Lucian Grange. All right, I'll show y'all a picture of him. Shout out to Sir Lucian Grange. Don't do him the big ear guy. Don't do him like that. Oh my gosh. What'd you say? Oh my goodness. Why'd you say it like that? I mean, he does kind of have big ears. Respect to Lucian, but dang, I didn't say it, Lucian. I guess I did just say it. They did. They're doing you dirty in the chat. What happened to lyrics that bring people together? When it comes to a rap beat, Peter, that's not what we're doing here. Y'all be low-key hating on Kendrick. I'm not a Kendrick fan. I like some of his music. I think he has an amazing writing ability. Again, one of the greatest pens that I've ever seen in my life. One of the greatest writers, I think, in rap history. His voice is just super annoying to me. So listening to his music in general, it's just, I can't get over that. It gets on my nerves. But either way, Lil Wayne's my favorite rapper, and I'm sure his voice is annoying to other people too. So It is what it is. I'm not trying to change your mind. What are you talking about? I'm just not one-sided. Because I like a person's music. We really can't unsee those ears. Dang, y'all leave Lucian alone. Those are $1 billion ears. Just leave his ears alone. Military-minded love. You're not changing nothing. Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, y'all are going. Okay, so Connie and Tatum are going back and forth. It's all right, y'all. It's not worth it. Don't crash out over Kendrick Lamar. Y'all, Kendrick doesn't even know who y'all are. Neither does Drake. So yes, his music is cool. I like it. I wouldn't save him if he needed it. God dang. All right, let me give y'all this overview that I came up with. So real quick, and then I'll let y'all get out of here. When it comes to the major differences between the original lawsuit and the amended lawsuit, there's some things I want to point out here. All right. So obviously we have the table of contents, which was nice. Y'all saw that here. It basically goes through the background and breakdowns everything that is in the lawsuit. Right now, here are the updated legal claims. What are they saying? The second claim, harassment in the second degree. All right. And we could go down to page 100, but oh gosh, like I don't really want to do this, but here we go. We've got the first claim, obviously defamation. We talked about that in the past, right? And then we've got the second claim, which was updated, harassment in the second degree. What does that say? And they cite obviously the New York Penal Code in here, 240, and it's basically saying that UMG repeated promotion of the material is harassment, just not defamation. So Drake again, he's doubling and tripling down on this. Plaintiff incorporates and realleges all preceding paragraphs as it is fully set forth herein. So they're basically saying just because Spotify's out and iHeartMedia's out, we're doubling down and we're going to prove it. And then the third claim was a violation of New York general business law. It basically says they have a consumer protection angle, and it claims that UMG deceived the public by covertly promoting the song. And y'all can see that in here as well. All right. Then we'll go down to the new allegations and evidence. All right. We've got a more detail on the promotional campaign. They go into detail, and this is going to be on pages 52 through 88. UMG's media, what did they do? They go into more depth of what happened here with UMG. They use social media to amplify the track's reach. They allege payments to influencers and streamers, digital payola, but they didn't disclose it. They whitelisted the song, as we talked about, to Twitch to bypass copyright filters and make sure that it got more visible. All right. They've got also, they use covert means to boost engagement. They changed the licensing deals with Spotify, like we talk about, to further spread the track. And I will actually want to go to this because, again, so many people who are watching these videos were like, oh, payola's gone because Spotify got removed from the claim. No, they did not. Let me see if I could find. Let me see. I put the notes here on 60 and 62. And let me see what they're saying. We've got Billboard charts. I want to see where they talk about Spotify. Here we go. And they've got all the links here. So this is page 59. Interscope reposted on X. We've got August 29th. UMG posted on X with the link to Spotify. They've got him on the playlist there. They also, UMG reposted a screenshot of the top 10 songs on the Billboard Hot 100 for the week of September 28th. On its YouTube channel, Interscope curates playlist of recommended music for fans. As of the date of this filing, the video is still featured on the label's music video playlist. All right, so we've got all of that in there, right? And then we have the Super Bowl allegations. They went into more detail about that. And you can find it on 84 to 88, emphasize UMG's role in getting Not Like Us performed at the Super Bowl, calling it defamation on the largest stage ever. That's going to be tough. Oh, man. Y'all leave the man's ears alone. Jesus. Claims this was an intentional and unprecedented move by UMG. safety harm and public reaction, stronger language. We've got Drake details the home invasion attempts, the racial slurs, and pulling his sons from school. We already read through that. All right. We've got the business motives. We talked about that. UMG allegedly wanted to devalue Drake since his contract was ending soon. Meanwhile, UMG had just signed Kendrick Lamar to a direct licensing deal. We talked about that. This is going to be the biggest part for me. If Drake can prove that UMG was attempting to devalue his brand while uplifting Kendrick Lamar, they're going to be in trouble. Just one text message. They're cooked, man. They're cooked. Because again, with these lawsuits, y'all have to remember that the burden of proof and the difference between this and a criminal trial is it has to be proven beyond a reasonable doubt. And now in this case, what we have a preponderance of doubt. This is gonna be tough. And I think that's all the notes I had on that one. So either way, I want to hear what y'all think. Did they ever figure out if Spotify was actually using bots to stream Kendrick's songs? Well, yeah, they definitely did. How many years has Drake been in the business? A long time. Y'all drop. Did anybody ever say what Drake did to defame Kendrick Lamar? Yeah, because he didn't. I don't think he did. All right. Anyway, I'm gonna let y'all get up out of here. Thank y'all for being here. Thank you to everyone who liked the video. Over 360 of y'all liked the video. We'll be dropping some clips later on this afternoon. Just dropped the video 4 minutes ago, so y'all make sure you go check it out and have a great rest of your afternoon as well. You know, we'll be back tomorrow. Should be a little bit earlier. Karen Reed is coming up soon, y'all. Karen Reed starts next week. I can't believe it. We're going to really start getting into and looking at some of the things that have been going on the Karen Reed trial tomorrow and going into Monday. And then we start court, I believe, on the 23rd, which should be next Wednesday. So it's going to be a crazy time. That's going to be a huge trial. And y'all know we're going to be here for it every day. Either way, thank y'all for being here. Thank y'all for showing so much love. Shout out to my guy, Peter Ortiz, for the super chats. Kara, Mr. Brown, Les, I appreciate y'all. I hope y'all have a great rest of your afternoon. And as always, you know what to do. Keep growing, keep pushing, keep it classy. We go. Peace.